We are very proud to announce UMP Trading is an official partner with a proven profit track record.
Yeah, if you want great returns on your investments, be sure to check out UMP Trading.
Hello, welcome back to everyone that's tuning into our channel, American Ultra Stock. Here we are today. It's finally done. The Leagues Cup, we come to an end. I'm joined by Braden and Arjun. We have covered this competition throughout the entirety of it since the group stage. Braden, I'm just going to get started straight to the point. Was it rigged? As a Philly fan, what was your opinion about the game where they got destroyed by Inter Miami 4-1? I'll go to you first.
Yeah, so this might be seen as biased maybe by people in the comments because, like you said, I'm a Union fan, but that game was just very uncharacteristic. And you guys might be saying, like, okay, yeah, the Union have history of choking in big games. And while that's true, the lineup that Jim Curtin put out just doesn't make any sense in any situation. Like, starting Chris Donovan in a semifinal game against probably the best team in the league, it's inexplicable. And going that defensive when we haven't even played that way the entire tournament doesn't make sense. Why would you not stick to what's working? And yeah, just that was the first thing that caught my eye. And then the second thing was Andre Blake, because I mean, I've been singing his praises forever, especially on this channel, and I've never seen him make mistakes like that. I mean, I don't think I can remember any mistakes he's made in general, but certainly not to that extent. I mean, he had some of the most wild goalkeeping errors I've ever seen, honestly. Like, it is like U17 level, and that's just not who he is as a player. So I think there's something a little bit fishy going on there. And the last thing was the players. They just didn't really look like they were trying at all. There was no energy, no motivation. They were just kind of walking around, letting Inter Miami just play through them as easily as they liked. And yeah, so that's just my takes on that game. And I do think it could potentially be rigged. I mean, the Mexican fans have been saying this the entire tournament, and I think I owe them an apology because I did kind of clown them for that in previous videos, but I'm on their side now. I think it is rigged for maybe MLS teams, but specifically for Inter Miami.
Yeah, that's I don't think that's an absurd take or a hot take at all after what we've seen for the entirety of the tournament. Now, going to you, Arjun, what's your take on that semifinal that shocked us?
Yeah, so I'm going to go against Braden here. I don't think it was rigged at all. I think it may be slightly some foul play going on. In the terms of MLS, Don Garber probably told the referees throughout the whole tournament to give some slight leniency towards Inter Miami and specifically Messi. If there's a borderline call, then give it in the way of Messi or Miami. I don't think it went as far as paying Jim Curtin to put out a terrible 11 and telling Jim Curtin to make sure his team plays like terribly. I don't think it went that far. I think Philly just couldn't live up to the occasion. I think they were a bit shell-shocked when they faced Miami and Messi. I think they gave Messi and Miami way too much respect, too much time on the ball. They weren't pressing hard enough, and just some careless errors by Andre Blake, which are entirely uncharacteristic, like Braden said. But I mean, if it's going to happen, it would probably happen against Messi. The mental aspect of playing against the best player of the world, in the whole world ever, the mental aspect of playing against the GOAT is something that a lot of players are in the MLS are like, you know, it's their first experience doing that. And you can see Andre Blake was checking his angles in the goal, like before Messi let that 30-yard shot loose, and he just didn't expect Messi to shoot from there, because every other time in the whole tournament, Messi from that position has been laying it off to the wings for Robert Taylor, Alba, or Martinez to make a run, and then he cuts it back to Messi and then he scores. He did not expect Messi to take a shot from 30 yards out, so he just checked his angles real quick, and Messi, boom, took a shot, and Andre Blake was caught off guard. It's right. I don't think it's rigged. I think Philly just couldn't live up to their expectations and crumbled underneath Miami's game.
All right, I see you, Brady. You raised your hand. Do you have another take to respond to that?
Yeah, I think what Arjun's saying is definitely plausible. I mean, there's a very, very likely possibility that it's not rigged and we just choked like we have seen in the past. But I want to bring to attention some of the other games as well. For starters, the Orlando City game. I mean, there's no way on earth, if that's not Messi, who shoves the player down, he's sent off. I don't think we can disagree with that at all. I mean, it's a blatant second yellow card. It doesn't matter if it's Messi or some other random MLS lifer. It doesn't, like, it's a stonewall red card. And the Dallas game, that Marco Farfan own goal is the most deliberate own goal I've ever seen. I mean, pinpoint header, absolutely beautiful finish into the wrong goal. It's just a little bit fishy for me, and I think it raises some questions as to where these players' true intentions actually lied.
That's fair. I think the legitimacy of I'll go back to Arjun, but just want to say, I think the legitimacy of the competition definitely can be brought up to questioning because, like you said, Farfan now can say he got an assist off Messi. I mean, it looked pretty deliberate, in my opinion. And I get what Arjun said about Blake, but a keeper of his quality, I mean, make no mistake about it, he's not getting wrong-footed that badly. And, especially the delay for the jumping for it looks really weird. But Arjun, your take to respond with what Braden said?
Yeah, so Braden brought up some good points. The Orlando game was, especially in my opinion, a very suspect game in terms of officiating. But I'm gonna put the Farfan goal in my opinion. I don't think that was deliberate. That would be a completely ridiculous thing to rig. If MLS was just telling Farfan, I mean, at Dallas, you'll score off of Messi. I mean, there's no feasible way that could work. I mean, that's like completely ridiculous. That's idiotic. There's no way MLS told Dallas to score an own goal. I mean, in my opinion, that's just completely too far-fetched, in my opinion. Farfan again, he scored a textbook header in the back of the net for the wrong team. But my theory with it, it's going to be a bit of a wild theory, but Dallas and all of MLS has never played against a player of the quality of Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi's free kicks Lionel Messi in general, he can put whippage on the ball that no other player can. He can curve the ball like no other player can ever curve. And this might be a wild theory, but I think Messi just put so much curve on that free kick, or he just wasn't used to it. And then Farfan went in for the header, and he just hit the wrong part of his head and went in the goal. That's my theory. I mean, it's kind of a BS theory, but my point still stands. There's no way Leagues Cup and MLS rigged it to make Dallas score an own goal for Messi in Miami. That would be a completely idiotic way to rig a game. There are so many more better ways to rig a game, like paying off the officiator, paying off the referees, telling the coach, like in the Philly Union case, telling the coach to play a terrible team. There's no way MLS was like, yo, Farfan, go score a header for the boys. It just didn't happen like that.
I don't think that MLS and USSF are competent with pulling anything off, so that's right. Therefore, if it is rigged, bad job on them, because everyone is saying it's rigged. And like Braden said, I think the officiating, I think it's inexcusable, really, the way that they have been conducting the Inter Miami games. But anyways, we'll get more into that later on. We had on the other side Nashville against Monterrey. Really impressive win by Nashville. I just want to say this. It's a shame we didn't pick the semifinals, because I would have predicted Nashville to beat Monterrey off. Not because of reason, but just because both of you guys were picking Monterrey, so I would try to get a point off of that. But really good for Nashville. I think this is really impressive by them. Braden, your takes on that semifinal?
Yeah, definitely a very impressive win by Nashville in that game. Although I do want to just point out quickly, for my whole rigged theory, it's a lot easier to get an MLS team to rig a final than a Liga MX team, especially considering all the history that Messi has with Mexico. But I do think that Nashville did win this game fair and square, although there is something to be said about the traveling involved with the Liga MX teams. It's been one of the main complaints by Mexicans this whole tournament. I do think they have a pretty good point, thinking about it some more. I mean, all the traveling. I understand that. I don't think their point of, the games are all in the U.S. is kind of valid, because there are safety concerns with playing in Mexico. But the wait between the games and the amount that they have to travel is a little bit ridiculous. I think they could space it out just a little bit more, which is why I don't like the whole idea of this tournament of being a mid-season tournament. It's just a money grab, really. I think we all know that's the true purpose of it. But yeah, a good win by Nashville regardless of the circumstances. And I think they definitely did their city proud the whole tournament. I mean, they were absolutely excellent, not just in that game, but their whole run, including the final.
Yeah, really nice to see Nashville make that deep run. And I don't know, we have differing opinions on this one. I think that it is sort of BS to not have games in Mexico. I think that regardless of safety concerns, that's just how it goes. I mean, the Libertadores is played in many places that are really sketchy. The final was played in a country with the highest mortality rate in South America for last year, and still, it's going to happen. You know, what is decided is decided. But Arjun, your take on Nashville?
Yeah, so the Nashville Monterrey game was, I mean, a brilliant win for Nashville. It was, in my opinion, unstoppable force versus an unmovable object. Monterrey came into this game as a free-flowing attacking team who could hold possession very well and create chances amongst the best of the teams in the whole competition. Nashville plays a very certain style of football that I really like. They sit back, they defend, and then they capitalize on set pieces and counterattacks to score their goals. I think Nashville, tactically, this was always going to be an amazing matchup for me. I think Nashville played up to their part and really using their set piece ability and their counterattack ability to the fullest extent against Monterrey. Monterrey outshot Nashville by a lot. They created way more chances, but Panico was good in defense. Zimmerman was really good in defense. The whole defense was, again, really solid like it was the whole tournament. And on counterattacks, Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge, the new DP signing, they got the job done. So I think, again, amazing win for Nashville, and yeah, I'm happy they won against Monterrey. Even though I predicted Monterrey to win the whole thing, I mean, Nashville were deserving winners of that game.
Yeah, fair. Just to add on to a point that Braden brought up, it's interesting that Tigres and Monterrey were the clubs that had to travel the most from Liga MX. I mean, I know, the rigged allegations are going to keep on going, but they are two of the strongest clubs. I mean, you could say they are the two strongest clubs out of Liga MX. And I want to touch on this point before we analyze the final. What is the legacy of this edition of the Leagues Cup? We can add our final review. I don't think it was as eventful, as other stuff that we discussed. But what is the legacy? Do you think that this competition adds to the credibility of the sport in the United States? I'm just going to say my take. I think it goes down on my views of how meaningful it is compared to what it was prior to the tournament and this edition being played out. Braden, your take?
Yeah, so like I said earlier on in my last take, I do think this is just a money grab. I mean, we've seen the crowds that Liga MX teams can bring in, even in the U.S. They're not even playing at home, and like the Tigres versus Monterrey game was sold out in Houston, I think. So it's cool to see the audiences that they're bringing in, and the money aspect is definitely there. All these games in quick succession is definitely bringing in a huge profit, especially with Messi coming to the league. But yeah, I do think it's a cool concept having all the Liga MX and MLS teams play each other. I think if they thought about it a little bit more and didn't just make it solely about money, I think it could be a cool tournament. But having it mid-season for MLS, it just doesn't really make sense. I mean, they're cramming all these games into a tight schedule because of the MLS season is going on at a different time with the Liga MX season. And I think if this tournament actually has potential to work properly in the future, Liga MX and MLS have to synchronize their schedules so that they're both starting the season at the same time, ending the season at the same time. And maybe this can be like a preseason sort of tournament. As we see in Brazil, they have state tournaments with just teams in their local areas. Obviously, this is a bit of a different concept, playing teams from a whole other country. But I think if they did that, it would make this tournament a lot better, and it'd honestly be one of my favorite tournaments to watch in the whole world. I mean, it's just a great rivalry between the US and Mexico. And also, if they did maybe split some of the games between the US and Mexico, not only have them take place in one country, if there was some sort of system to decide who gets to play home instead of just, okay, the MLS team gets to host it, then I think this tournament has a lot of potential, but they're not really going about things the right way right now.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that if it's not all about money, the Monterey coach was really vocal about it, and their president said that they're likely going to boycott the competition next time around because they ended up the competition with a deficit. But yeah, Arjun, your take on the legacy of this edition of the Leagues Cup?
Yeah, so Braden hit the main points on the head. It's definitely a cash grab, and this was, I mean, right from the beginning, we all knew it was going to be a cash grab, you know. But it did serve a good purpose, at least in terms of a U.S. football sense, for casuals to get into to basically get more casuals into watching MLS and to introduce Messi to the global stage as an MLS player. I think those were the two big goals that MLS and Leagues Cup wanted to do in this tournament. You know, get money, get more viewers to MLS, and Liga MX rivalry creates more money, creates more viewership for those games. And yeah, introduce Messi to the global audience as an MLS player. Obviously, this wasn't a completely flawless tournament. There were many flaws with how it's run, how it's set up. You said Monterey actually lost money by going to this tournament because of all the travel costs. They just didn't earn as much money back, and that's definitely a sad reality of this tournament. Braden hit on the head, though. I definitely agree that it's got potential to become one of my favorite tournaments in the world if they set it up properly. Like Braden said, in a time spot, in a moment in a year where there's the preseason and the MLS and Liga MX club aren't at a conflicting time schedule, and they're able to travel and they're able to get. And also, Yuri mentioned it. I do agree there should be fans in Mexico. I do agree with the fact that there's a major safety issue with playing against Mexico. We saw with the Querétaro fans last year what can happen in many Mexican stadiums, which is a sad reality. But again, in my opinion, it's unfair to judge an entire country based on, I mean, fairly large happenings. To be fair, very, very, very large happenings. But I do agree that it's just unfair to have all MLS teams facing all Liga MX teams in the USA, especially if Monterrey have to travel hundreds of miles up, barely having. I mean, they have fans, but not as much as they could have in Mexico. So yeah, in this edition of the whole Leagues Cup, I think it was a cash grab, but it's a work in progress for me. I see potential in this tournament. I see potential in MLS, especially now that there are a lot more casual viewers watching MLS from this tournament. And especially now, Liga MX fans definitely hate us more than they ever have before. But, I mean, MLS works for itself and for the money, and, they accomplish those goals. Get the money, get the casual viewership, and introduce Messi. So, yeah, that's my takes.
Yeah, I'm just sad. And today I was leaving church, and this kid that was playing soccer told me, it sucks. Our league sucks. Messi came and showed that our league is completely terrible. I'm not going to watch it. So, I mean, some people might see it that way, but yeah, it's nice that casuals turn an eye towards it. Braden?
Yeah, just going off of that, I kind of think this is a lose-lose situation for Messi fans and MLS fans, because if what did happens with Inter Miami just kind of blowing through the whole tournament. Obviously, they had some close games, like Dallas and Nashville in the final specifically, but with them just winning it all, going from worst to first so quickly, it definitely gives our league a very poor image. Obviously, it's nice to have Messi here. I'm not taking that for granted or anything, but it shows that MLS is still not at the level that we want it to be yet. So, and to put that on a global stage at this point in our league's growth, I just don't think we were ready for it. And there was an Inter Miami player that said it, actually, and I think he ended up losing his job because of it. He said that we're not ready for Messi, and he was completely spot on. I think if this happened a couple years down the line, like a player of this caliber, maybe we would be in a better spot. But with them just completely destroying everyone so quickly after being the worst team in MLS, it just, I don't know. It's not a good look for the league. And if Messi hadn't won, then it would have all just been, oh, he's washed, MLS retirement league. So it's nice to have the extra viewership, and it's nice to have Messi in the US, but this situation is kind of a lose-lose for me.
Yeah, and for foreigners, I think I'll go to Arjun and just say, mentioning that the audience retention is going to be really low. I mean, I can tell my family from Brazil, they think MLS is ridiculously terrible now. They do believe, they seriously believe that Série C, terceira divisão in Brazil, is a better league than MLS. And honestly, with their arguments, that we had a really long argument, but it was just a really bad look. I know they wanted to, do the cash grab, capitalize on Messi signing, but ultimately, as a brand to the rest of the world, people think that MLS is horrible. A lot of people, but we'll see. Only the future will tell. Arjun, your last takes on it?
Yeah, that's my last take. We have to remember this was only the Leagues Cup. This was not the actual MLS. It's yet to be seen if Messi and Miami will completely obliterate the actual league of MLS. And they are sitting dead last right now. And I agree with Braden. If Miami, by some magical way of the world, or Lionel Messi managed to win the MLS Cup this season, from the dead last place team to the first, if they manage to do that, I fully agree with Braden. We are not ready for MLS, and MLS has been completely shown as a bit of a joke league to the rest of the world. MLS is not. It's not a good look for the league, but I don't think that will happen. I do not think Miami and Messi will win the whole MLS Cup this year. It's a bit of a step too far for them. They are dead last in the league. The MLS is a different competition. The Leagues Cup is a one-off. It's a knockout tournament. It's one game. You advance to the next round. MLS is a different tournament. Obviously, it's a league. So yeah, like Braden said, if Messi and Miami just dominate us in the actual league, if they end up winning the whole thing, Messi scoring 50 goals, and yeah, MLS is not a good look for our league. But I don't think it's gonna happen. So I think the radical takes about MLS being completely washed or like a terrible league and Messi's come in and just destroyed the Leagues Cup, I think they're a bit reactionary in my opinion. I think Messi obviously will cook in MLS. He's expected to cook, but I don't think the rest of the MLS is just going to bow down to Messi, and Messi and Miami are going to overtake the whole league and just win back-to-back league titles or like some crazy Real Madrid 2017-2018 team. I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, those are my last takes on the matter.
Yeah, I was just a little bit, saddened because I think in terms of how many times are foreigners and like my family in Brazil, how many times are they going to watch MLS? Never. Never. Being completely honest, Leagues Cup, this is a great opportunity for them to tune in, and the quality of the game. I don't think the games were that good and too much space in the midfield. People already got turned off, but in terms of a domestic growth, I do hope that it proves to be a good move in the long run. But yeah, thank you, Braden. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you for everyone that watched the video this far. We try to bring a different discussion to make it more interesting. I mean, Leagues Cup, as we said, all of us pretty much emphasize how it is sort of a cash grab. So we try to make this interesting, have a bit of analysis. Please share your thoughts in the comments below and what you thought about our takes. And just a quick mention, since we did do this throughout the entire video, the tables for predictions. Braden, you were the champion. 26 correct predictions, correct? If I'm not mistaken. I got 22, Arjun 21, pretty even there. We all did fairly well, to be honest. Some surprises along the way, but thank you so much, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.